Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Shruti Sharma.
Hi, my name is Krishnan. I'll be doing the Hindu news analysis for the day. These are the 5 articles for discussion, and towards the end we'll see previous year questions. So the first article for the day will be about Prime Minister landing in US. So this is a historical visit because why whenever a leader travels to US or US leader comes to India, it is given a lot of spotlight because you see what is common between India and America? Shared democratic values. So whenever in the mains answer, if you are writing about international relations between India and USA, you are supposed to use these terms. And see what the Prime Minister has said, there is unprecedented trust. Because if you think in during the Cold War times, India was informally on the side of Russia. So USA always looked at us with a suspicious eye. But what has happened now? So our Prime Minister is telling there is unprecedented trust. So this is our Prime Minister's sixth visit, and President of US POTUS will receive him. So, but this is his first official state visit. And so who is he going to meet there? He is going to meet US leaders, members of the Congress, CEOs of MNCs, and members of the Indian American community. And why is he mainly going? Because he is going to focus on trade, energy energy, what type of energy, renewable energy, those things, green energy, technology transfer, those things are going on, right? So he is going to focus on those areas. And next is talking about collaborations in science and technology, education, health, and mainly number of agreements on defense ties. So we saw already that America is going to sell General Electric's jet, which will be used in Tejas and all. So those things also will be in the agenda, but this is the main thing. So next, what he is telling, mainly he is telling he is confident that his visit to US will reinforce. Again, he is telling the same thing. What is common between US and India? Shared values of democracy, diversity, and freedom. So next is telling we'll stand together because we have shared global challenges. What are the shared global challenges? Mainly he is referring to China only. So China is disrupting world order. So that also is terming as a challenge. So next what we'll do, he'll meet 24 CEOs and thought leaders. And who are they going to be? Elon Musk, astrophysicist Neil D, Grace Tyson, and singer Falgonisha. So he's going to meet a lot of people, and these are the few. And next, yoga event. So yoga event is going to happen on Wednesday. So what is going to happen? Where it is going to happen? Because where India's proposal for recognizing the day as International Yoga was made, and there was a place it was accepted. In that place itself, there's going to be yoga event. So they are going to do that. Next, what will happen? So democracy, diversity, for everything, who is the poster boy for us? It is Mahatma Gandhi. So he stands for all these values. So Prime Minister will go there and lay flowers at Mahatma Gandhi statue, which is in United Nations. And next, there are discussions about keeping a memorial for UN peacekeepers, but right now we do not have any clear information on that. But what is very good thing about it is 190 countries have supported it, including China and Pakistan. So that is a good thing. But as usual, what is going to happen? There's going to be protests from human rights activists and few Indo-American groups and all. They are going to protest in New York and Washington because Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, what they are going to do, they are going to screen BBC documentary. So there was this documentary which spoke about the Prime Minister's role in the 2002 Gujarat riots, right? So there was the BBC documentary called India, the Modi Question. So this was banned in India. So this will be screened across US, where our Prime Minister will be visiting. Next, the US based Wall Street Journal on Tuesday asked very serious questions to Mr. Modi. So where his government is accused of religious polarization and human rights violation. So they are telling minorities are not treated fairly in India and all those things. But what the Prime Minister is telling, India has been the land where people of all faiths and beliefs have found freedom to exist peacefully and prosper. So this is true, right? When the Parsis came to India from Iran, and when the Jews came, so, and in fact there are 74 sects of Muslims in India, and all of them are together free, and they are saved from violence only in India, because you see in Pakistan Shias are attacked, Ahmadiyas are attacked. In India no such thing happens, right? So that is why he is telling, for thousands of years freedom to coexist peacefully and prosper. So this is what he's telling. He's telling in India you will find people of every faith in the world living in harmony in India. So next, again this only thing, the unprecedented trust only they are telling, because India is now able to balance both Russia and US, and it is able to satisfy US also. And but what is the most important thing? The most important thing is the defense cooperation. That only they are telling, defense cooperation is the most important pillar of the relationship. So next, what is the foreign secretary telling? Is telling this visit will mark a milestone in the ties. So that is very important. And see how international media is reporting this. So the latest issue of Economist, in that it has an interview of External Affairs Minister, and it is titled America's new best friend. So who it is calling America's new best friend? It is calling India only, like that, because see, so Joe Biden was shown as an American Taizu owner, and the tiger sitting next to him indicating India. So what can we expect in the upcoming week? We can see public and visible expression of the close relationship between India and US, which is getting very good day by day, and it's not just getting good, it's getting consequential. So it is mutually beneficial for both. So the External Affairs Minister is telling, this is the unmistakable message of Mr. Modi's visit would be that it is showing that India-US relationship is on right track, and it is moving forward very, very rapidly. So right now they are telling everything is good between India and USA, and the most important pillar of cooperation is defense cooperation. So this is what this article is about. Now let us move on to the next article. This article is about India's first mRNA vaccine, which is against Omicron. It has been approved recently. Now let us see what this is about. So why is this in news? Because GEM-COVAX OM, that is India's first indigenous mRNA vaccine for Omicron variant of the novel coronavirus, was approved under, you see this term, emergency use guidelines by the Drug Controller General of India late on Monday. We'll see what emergency use guidelines is. So this comes a year after this is a Pune based pharmaceutical company, and it got approval for GEM-COVAX 19, which is against COVID-19. This OM is for Omicron variant. So but both the vaccines are not commercially available yet, but the officials at Genova are telling that they will be formally launched and rolled out within the next 2 or 3 weeks. So this Omicron variant mRNA vaccine is stable at 2 to 3 degrees Celsius range, and it can be stored in ordinary refrigerators itself. So how it can be administered into the skin? It can be administered via needle-free PharmaJet system. So this is important. So needle-free. So what is it called? It is a PharmaJet system. And but the data from the clinical trials have not been submitted. They are not public yet. So they are submitted to the DCGI, but they are not public yet. But GEM-COVAX home, they are telling it had a greater safety profile, and it was much more safer than Covishield and generated more neutralizing antibodies. So generally it is good, like that they are telling. That is what the CEO of Genova is telling. But what is important in this article is, first we should know what is emergency use authorization. So emergency use authorization means It is an authorization given to unregistered drugs and vaccines during public health emergency, which means that the drug has no statutory authority, that is it has not been fully approved, but since there is a pandemic they can use it temporarily for the time being. But this is very unique because this is a mRNA vaccine. What is mRNA vaccine? They work by introducing a piece of mRNA that corresponds to a viral protein. So generally it is usually a small piece of protein found on the virus's outer membrane. And what is good thing about mRNA vaccine is they are not exposed to the virus, because in other types of vaccines what do we do? A small piece of the virus is there, so with that only the immunity remembers the original virus. But in mRNA vaccine it is not that, it is not exposed to, I mean people who are getting the mRNA vaccine are not exposed to the virus, nor they become infected with the virus by the vaccine, because there is no virus at all, only the piece of protein of the virus's outer membrane is there. So mRNA means model RNA. So what are the components? mRNA, which is the blueprint of the protein. What is very unique about mRNA? The production is faster because mRNA molecules are very easy to produce. And what is the process? Components are injected into the arm and serve as instructions for the body to make microbial protein. But how do traditional vaccines work? They are microbial protein or inactive microbe. The production system is very slow and it is very difficult to produce the right type of protein. What is the process? Components are made in a lab and injected into the arm to stimulate immune response. So this is what this is. I hope you understood the difference between mRNA vaccine and traditional vaccine, and I hope you are used to the term emergency use authorization. Now let us move on to the next topic. This topic is about China and Pakistan signing a nuclear agreement. So what is it about? So China on June 20 signed an agreement worth $4.8 billion with cash-strapped Pakistan, because Pakistan has got no money right now. So what is this nuclear plant? It's a 1200 megawatt nuclear power plant. So what does this show? It shows increasing strategic cooperation between two all-weather allies. So in IR you should use terms like this, all-weather allies. So Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif was there seeing the procedures and all those things. So this is a 1200 megawatt Chashma 5 nuclear power plant. Where is it? It's in a district called Mianwali, which is in Punjab. So the Prime Minister of Pakistan says this is a token of showing increasing economic cooperation between Pakistan and China, and he said this project will go on without any delay. He is very thankful to China because in this difficult economic situation, Pakistan was getting an investment of $4.8 billion from China. So he's telling this sends a message that Pakistan is a place where Chinese companies and investors continue to show their trust and faith. So he's telling in spite of economy in Pakistan being like that, even though China companies, they are still coming and investing in Pakistan. This shows that Chinese companies and investors have faith in Pakistan. And he's telling the Chinese companies have given a lot of special concessions which would save billions of rupees for the people of Pakistan. So and he's telling that Pakistan is confident that it would come out of the current economic difficulties. How it will come is that they are telling they will come out of it with the help of China and other friendly countries. And what else the Prime Minister is telling? He's telling they are also asking money from IMF, and now they are going to finalize the 9th review, and once all conditions are met, the IMF will give them money. Next, he is thanking President Xi Jinping, and he's telling the Chinese have been really helpful, that is they have been very generous with their help, and he also thanked Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar for giving money to the country. So this Chashma power plants, what they are going to do, they are going to produce cheap nuclear power. So the installed capacity of the existing 4 power plants is 1330 megawatts, and 2 other nuclear plants are already operational in Pakistan, where it is in Karachi, and the capacity is 2,290 megawatts. But what is the sad state is Pakistan is under tremendous financial debt, but it is not getting any multilateral loan or even bilateral assistance without the support of IMF. So people are not willing to give it money, and only China has given them money, while Saudi Arabia and UAE have been selectively giving them money. So in not all instances they are giving money. So in 2019 itself, a $6 billion bailout was given to Pakistan on fulfillment of certain conditions. But what happened? The plan was derailed many times because, and full money is not given because there are inconsistency from Pakistan side. They are not completing all formalities, so they are not getting all the money. So we all know Pakistan's economy has been in a free fall mode for the last many years. So what is happening? Poor people are suffering, and how they are suffering? Unchecked inflation, wheat, atta, everything rises price, everything is hitting the roof, and it is almost making impossible for a lot of people to even lead their lives. So this is the condition in Pakistan right now. Now let us move on to the next topic. This topic is about semiconductors and how India can become a global leader in this field. So why is this in news? Because in India a lot of efforts are being made to set up fabrication plant, and in India it's no longer a mere hubris. That is, plans are really going on to make it a huge deal because there is a growing market, and there are also strategic reasons. What? Because India does not have semiconductors, and because of that what is happening? India is being coerced. Coerced means other countries are forcing India to act in a particular way because they have to give semiconductors. So that is, we are dependent on import of semiconductors. So therefore the government in 2022 launched semiconductor mission, which is a good thing. But even after all this, there is still uncertainty about whether India will have a fabrication plant. So why is this uncertainty? To know all this, we should understand first why earlier attempts failed, and we should also examine alternate approaches. So the first serious attempt was made in 2007. What was it? It was a special incentive package, but it gave no response at all. And the second attempt was in the form of modified SIP in 2012, and it did give few results. And after 2 years of extensive outreach, all the major countries in the world came to India to closely having a fab. But two consortia were approved by the cabinet with an attractive set of incentives. Who are they? Jayaprakash Associates, partnering with IBM, and Israeli company Tawajaz constituted one, while the other one was Hindustan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation along with ST Microelectronics. So the two fabs together involved investment worth $10 billion, and the government offered incentives amounting to $5 billion in the form of cash, and they were even given tax cuts. So location for the fabs were finalized and the land was finally allotted, but eventually both of them failed to mobilize. So why is semiconductor very important? Because semiconductor fabrication represents the ultimate frontier of human tech advancement. So this is the peak of human technology. So they work on the principle of Moore's law. I mean, they adhere to Moore's law, that is, the number of transistors in a unit area doubles every 18 months. But what is happening in the field of semiconductor? Miniaturization is very important. But with miniaturization, what is happening? Higher complexity, and because of complexity, cost is increasing. And because of that, what has happened? The industry has seen a decline in the number of participants because it is very expensive and it's a complex task. But what has happened? China is now a leader in this field. How is it is happening? Because China started late in the semiconductor fab industry. But what happened? The government gave massive financial support over the last 2 decades. That is, for the last 20 years, the government has given huge financial support, and it has acquired hundreds of loss-making fabrication plants from around the world, and it has built its own fab industry. So then what happened? The manufacturing cost became low, and lot of electronics manufacturing industry came up, and China's chip production went up rapidly. But what happened? By the time the US realized that China is becoming a leader in this field, it was too late. China had already become one of the major producers. But why China is able to do this is because it has got market supremacy in rare earth minerals. That is, rare earth minerals, they are available in China already. China is the number one place for rare earth minerals because they are essential for chip production, and because of that it has a strategic stranglehold on chip making. But what US and its western allies have done, so the latest fab related technology is there, no, that they have blocked. So China no longer has access to how to make new level of new technology semiconductor chip. China has no knowledge to it. But the author is telling this is a case of closing the stable door after the horses have bolted. So they are telling this is of no use. So next, what the US did, the US enacted the Chips and Science Act in 2022, and nearly $40 billion were given in subsidies. Why they did that? They wanted to make US as the largest semiconductor manufacturer in the world, and even European Union has sanctioned 7.4 billion euros, and fabrication plants are coming up in France. So India is also competing here, but it will have to be aware that it is competing with both US and the European Union. So what we should all be aware is investment in semiconductor fab is riskier because the technology becomes obsolete very soon, and whatever money that was put into research and development must be recovered before the technology becomes obsolete. So this requires substantial production volumes for economic viability, and this often reaches levels that are adequate to meet global demand. So what they are finally telling is, don't conceive a fab which will help the domestic market alone. This should cater to the needs of international market also. That is how you can recover the money. So what are the other advantages of semiconductor is, they have a very small freight to price ratio and a zero custom regime under the IT agreement 1996 facilitates production in a single location and global sales. So this is why no company is interested in setting a new fab in the new fab plant, that is the greenfield fab, because developing an ecosystem for chip manufacturing in a new location is a very difficult task, and hundreds of chemicals and gases are required for chip fabrication, and trained skilled people are required, and even abundant clean water is required. So chip making is a bit difficult, but above all there is art of chip making, that is people should be really trained and skilled in that area. So what happens generally is, despite the best of equipment, poor quality and low yields can make fabs fail, and there are other issues like, should the company set up logic or processor or memory or analog fab. So an electric equipment and its functionalities are characterized by their logic chips, which are therefore strategically important and generate the highest profit. So the most advanced of technologies are required to manufacture chips. That is a given fact. And analog chips are essential but have the least strategic value. Memory fabs use the most advanced feature nodes, while analog fabs can even be as large as 130 nanometers. But logic fabs are the most expensive, and analog fabs are the least expensive. But what we should know is there's a relatively easier option, that is assembly, testing, packing and marketing. So we can focus on this. So this ecosystem can be developed before a full-fledged fab is set up. So but what they are telling is this ATMPs have little value in terms of actual chip making, but they help in making the ecosystem. So there is something here that we can learn from China. So India is setting new logic fab, but what China has done, it has acquired loss-making fabs and it set up its own logic fabs. So what happened when China acquired existing fabs? It had many advantages because the fabs were reasonably priced, the technology was stabilized, a supply chain ecosystem was already there, and an established product line and market was already there. So if India follows it, what will happen? This will help India to make the fab ecosystem, and human resource can also be trained, and subsidies will also go down. So India doesn't need to spend much on subsidy, and the funds saved could be used for R&D. So and this can in turn help setting up state of the art fab in the next few years. So another strategy could be setting up ATMPs, because right now we have something called as Tesol, which is acquired by Tata's, and it was set up as an ATMP in 2013-14. So what is this ATMP doing? It is successfully packaging chips up to 7 nanometers. So China also follows this, because China has close to over 100 ATMPs, but this journey was started 20 years ago for China. So this is what we can learn from the Chinese, because they have been doing this successfully for the past 20 years. And India should follow this saying, which is the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is now. So India should learn from Chinese example. This is what the author is trying to say here. Now let us move on to the next topic. This is about Coal India and its dispute with Competition Commission of India. Now let us analyze the details. So what happened on June 15th, the Supreme Court held that there was no merit in Coal India claiming that it should be excluded from the purview of Competition Act. So why did this happen? Because the court was hearing the public sector units appeal against the Competition Appellate Tribunal's order, which said that the Coal India was abusing its position. Now let us see what this case is about. The event started in 2017 when Competition Commission of India imposed a penalty of 591 crores on Coal India Limited for imposing unfair, discriminatory conditions in fuel supply agreements with power producers for supplying of non-coking coal. So what it essentially means is, Coal India was found to be supplying very cheap quality, lower quality of essential resource at higher prices, and they had opaque conditions in the contract about supply parameters and quality. So the regulator said, that is the Competition Commission of India, said that Coal India and its subsidiaries operated independently of the market forces and enjoyed market dominance in the relevant market with respect to production and supply of non-coking coal. But what did the PSU argue in the court? So it said it operated with the principle of common good and it ensured equitable distribution of the essential natural resource. So it is telling, with this objective, it was secured as a monopoly under the Nationalization Act 1973. So the entity, that is the Coal India, said it had to adhere to differential pricing mechanism to encourage captive coal production. So what is captive coal production? That is the coal mined in one place should be used for that specific and exclusive purpose only. They should not be used for other purpose. So this is called captive coal production. So differential pricing, they are telling, will be inconsistent with market principles, and this was done to ensure the viability of the larger operating ecosystem as well as pursuing welfare objectives. So they are telling, whatever we did it because we wanted to pursue welfare objectives. Further, they are telling, since we are supplying coal, it has a larger national goal in it. So we can do whatever we want because there is national goal in it. See, if the government wants to encourage growth in backward areas, they will allocate more to one particular state. And the PSU stated that it did not operate in commercial sphere, and even after doing all this, 345 out of its 462 mines suffered cumulative losses, and about 51% of its manpower too were engaged in these mines, and they also told that they could not lay off employees unlike private players. And how did the Competition Commission of India respond? The respondents broadened the scope of arguments. So the Raghavan committee report was put up by the respondents, and the Competition Commission of India said that state monopolies were not conducive to the best interest of the nation. So this is very important. So Competition Commission of India is telling, state monopoly, even if the monopoly is a state, it is not conducive for the best interest of the nation, and they could not be allowed to operate in a state of inefficiency and should instead operate amid competition. And the Competition Commission of India said coal ceased to be an essential commodity in February 2007, and Nationalization Act 2 was removed from 9th schedule. So what is 9th schedule? If a law is placed in the 9th schedule, it cannot be challenged. So when was it removed? It was removed in 2017. So Competition Commission of India is telling Coal India cannot seek relief under these arguments. And it was also pointed out to Coal India that it was a fully government owned entity only until 2007, and 67% was only with the government and rest with private hands. And Coal India supplied to power companies close to 80%. So what happened, they would pass power generated using coal to discoms, who in turn would supply power to the final consumer. So the continual supply of coal, adherence to the contract, reasonableness in the rates and quality of coal all serve a common good. So this is what the CCI told. And coal constitute about 60 to 70% of the cost for power generation company. So irregular prices and supply will have a significant bearing indirectly on the consumers. But what did Supreme Court say? The Supreme Court said there was no merit in the argument that the Competition Act would not apply to Coal India because they are governed by Nationalization Act, and it has to follow the Competition Act. So the Supreme Court said whatever the act said itself, the very idea is being violated by Coal India. So it is telling if the state monopolies, the government companies and public sector units are left free to contravene the act, the very core of the act is violated. Then it said entities cannot act on their own, treat others unfairly or similarly situated entities with discrimination. They are telling even if you are a government PSU, you cannot do all this. And what others are telling, this judgment reinforced competitive neutrality. So keep this term in mind, competitive neutrality. So what it means, that the Competition Act applies equally to both public and private sector. So they are telling government companies across sectors, power sectors, any sector which are dominant in their sector of operation, their business should be in a fair and non-discriminatory manner, so that they do not violate the principle of antitrust. So if they do this, there will be a level playing field between public sector and private enterprises operating in India. So these are the 5 articles for discussion. Now let us move on to previous year questions. So which of the following statements best reflects the issue with Senkaku Islands, sometimes seen in the news? So what is Senkaku Island? Japan and China engage in maritime disputes over these islands in East China Sea. Now let us have look at this map to understand this. So see, this is the Senkaku Islands, where it is in the East China Sea, and dispute is between China and Japan. So they are asking what is greenwashing. Greenwashing means like whitewashing. Greenwashing means companies give false information that a company's products are eco-friendly and environmentally sound. So who in India is responsible for maintaining price stability and controlling inflation? It is RBI only. In medieval India, the term phanam referred to coins. So that's all for today. I hope you liked it. You can share it among your friends, subscribe it. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Telegram and Facebook. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you again tomorrow.